This module examines the physical layer and how it operates. The physical layer is the network hardware, including servers, clients, circuits. But in this module and lesson, we will focus on circuits mostly. The circuits are usually a combination of both physical media, for example, cables, wireless transmissions, and special purpose devices that enable transmissions or digital transmissions to travel through the media. We'll talk a little bit about media a little later on, but first of all, I think before we can dive into the physical, we need to understand some of the terms of the physical link so you'll better understand the whole concept of data transmission. Let's look at a few definitions. The word circuit has two different meanings in networking, and sometimes it's hard to understand which meaning is intended. Sometimes we use the word circuit to refer to the physical circuit or the actual wire used to connect two devices. In this case, we're referring to the physical media that carries the message we transmit, such as the twisted pair wire used to connect a computer to a LAN in an office. Now, I know we haven't talked about LANs yet, but let's just try to focus on the data transmission and how it gets from one end or one device to the other. In other cases, we're referring to what we call a logical circuit. The logical circuit is used to connect two devices, which refers to the transmission characteristics of the connection, such as when we say, for instance, that there's a T1 connection, which is the medium connection to the internet from that company. In that case, or in this case, the T1 refers not only to the physical media, but rather to how fast the data can be sent through the connection. Often, each physical circuit is also a logical circuit, but as you will notice in this lesson, when we start talking about multiplexing, sometimes it's possible to have one physical circuit, one wire, carry several separate logical circuits, and vice versa. There are two fundamentally different types of data that can flow through a circuit, and that's a digital and an analog. Computers produce what they call digital data that are binary. And when you hear binary, that's when people talk about the zeros and the ones. Binaries are either on or off, and they are identified by a 0 or a 1. In contrast, telephones produce analog data, whose electrical signals are shaped like sound waves as they transfer, and they take on any value in a wide variety of possibilities, not just zeros and ones. So data can be transmitted through a circuit in the same form they are produced. Most computers, for example, transmit their digital data through digital circuits to printers and other attached devices. Likewise, analog voice data can be transmitted through telephone networks in analog form. In general, networks designed primarily to transmit digital computer data tend to use digital transmission, and networks designed primarily to transmit analog voice data tend to use analog transmission. Data can be converted from one form into the other for transmission over a network of different type circuits. For example, a digital computer data can be transmitted over an analog telephone circuit by using a modem, for instance. A modem at the sender's computer translate the computer's digital data into analog data that can be transmitted through the voice communication circuits. And a second modem at the receiver's end translates that analog transmission back into digital data for the receiver's computer.